228th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third day of Dreamforce 15. This episode is titled Dreamforce 15, Day 3. Just want to remind you that the Admin Zone podcast studio is sponsored by Apttus, providing quote-to-cash solutions and X-Author for Excel. I'm your host, Jason Atwood. Joining me for the 228th time in a row, looking less and less chipper as the days go on, co-host Justin Edelstein. Justin, how are you doing today?
I actually got more than 5 hours of sleep last night.
So you're less than just totally grumpy?
Ooh, yesterday was a bad day.
It was grumpy grumpster day.
Yesterday was not a good day for me.
So we have a very special podcast. We're going to break this into two parts. Part one, Justin and I are going to have a discussion around the keynote yesterday because we actually have content to talk about.
Yes.
What happened. We're going to go through some of the main announcements. Instant reaction, or I guess now not so instant. 24 hours later, we can we've let it all seep into our brainiums.
It's in my blood.
In your blood. And then we're going to bring in a special guest star after that. So we'll do that, and we'll announce him after our sort of keynote review. So, kicking it off yesterday, special keynote. As we like to point out, it's one of millions that we've been to. So it gets better and better. Mark Benioff's special keynote was yesterday at 1 p.m. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, baby.
Okay.
What's up? I have no.
Go ahead. I mean, it started off with the traditional Hawaiian welcome.
Yes.
I forget their names.
Remember, we made predictions yesterday. I think we got like 3 or 4 of them right.
Yeah, I think we got them all right.
Yeah, we were pretty good with our predictions. So
that guy was blowing the seashell.
Yes, that happened.
And played the ukulele a little bit.
Yep.
The official ambassador to Dreamforce.
And then I think, not spoiler alert, but my favorite part of the whole thing is they kicked it over to not AC/DC, which we all predicted. Or you predicted, what do you
I said Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice, right.
And Vanilla Ice would have been a pleasant surprise yesterday.
Lightning, baby.
But Stevie Wonder was a good choice over Vanilla
Great.
Ice.
Stevie blew it up with 4
from a
songs.
Quality perspective and a historical relevance perspective, kind of equal with Vanilla Ice. But
it's so true.
But we'll give the slight edge to Little Stevie.
Yeah, Little Stevie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was really cool. It came out behind us sort of and did I think 3 or 4 songs. A mini concert.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Well, it was better than the Beach Boys the year before.
True. Better than MC Hammer.
Better than MC Hammer. Not as good as Vanilla Ice would have been.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice, Lightning Baby. I'm telling you, it would be killer. And that basically brought us back to the Mark Benioff opening keynote piece, which is a good 5 to 10 minutes of who the company is, the thankings, the foundation,
the mainframe, the client server, the cloud.
Yes. Yeah. So that was all I'd say pretty by the book. He was in good form. I remember one year, years and years ago, maybe like your first Dreamforce or my second or whatever. I remember we were sitting with an employee, and this was like back in the day when I think they let the employees into the hall. And he turned to us. And he's like, "Oh, he's off his mark today. I think he's not feeling well." And we're like, "You can tell that just by looking up at him on the stage." He's like, "Yeah, I think he's not feeling well today." And I'm like, "Really?" So I felt he looked good. He was, he was still tall. I didn't see the shoes. Did you see the shoes?
No, I couldn't see the shoes from where we were sitting, and we had great seats.
Yes, we had special
the MVP seats.
Yes.
Right up in the front.
Try not to throw that out too much.
No, I throw that out there.
All right, do it.
There's a big sign that says MVP.
Yeah, it was great.
It's right in the front.
It was great. What was fun was you were right next to
I was
the
right
camera.
on the aisle, and the camera guy kept getting in my way.
Damn
it's
camera
like, he has
guy.
a job to do. He's got to film the thing.
Right.
And I'm like, I just want to see what's going on, man.
Why didn't you tell him that you're a broadcaster and that your job is to be there to take in the information?
No respect.
No respect.
No respect.
So I actually did it. It was 44 minutes before they really kicked into the actual keynote.
Really?
Yeah, 44 minutes.
Before they started with the foundation stuff.
Yeah. So then they got into the foundation stuff, which I think is a newish in the last couple of years. Great stuff. That to me is always, it's nice because it kind of, on the scale of relevancy, it helps push back the stuff we get later, which we will get to. But it was good. We got to the foundation. This year it was Athena.
Yep.
Women's breast cancer research hospital.
I think it was all the University of California hospitals came together.
great cause. Great interview. The whole thing was don't want to say like awesome. That sounds terrible. But it was good.
It was great.
It was great. Yeah.
And a very well spoken. I can't remember her name.
Good job.
Well, okay.
A real broadcaster would remember her.
You're right. Actually, it's Laura Esserman, MD and MBA, because her face is about 400 feet tall right outside that window. So there you have it. I wrote it down. It's right there.
He wrote it on the wall.
She was great. She was a great
good.
speaker.
Yeah.
She had it all together. She was very well spoken. She got the message across. I was all about it. You could. What I didn't write down, and I should have, which was the 5-digit number to text message to make a donation.
You did not write that down.
No, I didn't.
Good job.
That was a fail.
And then we went into sort of where I think the actual keynote starts, where we got into sort of what's new, right? We get into sort of the big picture, the big thing that is being announced.
We get the Mark and Parker show.
Yes, we get the Mark and Parker show.
Which is kind of that's the best to me.
That's
the Mark and Parker show is
that's
the best.
becoming very regular. So
prediction came true.
Yes.
Parker Harris, genius,
Lightning
engineer,
Man,
comes out looking like a buffoon, and it's unfair to Parker.
Really?
Well, people who don't know who Parker is.
Well, you tell them who he is.
Well, he's the co-founder and the chief of all products at Salesforce, runs the entire product team. So.
Yes.
Very important man comes out in a very silly suit every year. So if it's your first time at Dreamforce or your second time at Dreamforce and you go to this keynote, you're like, who's this doofus running out on the screen with a lightning bolt?
Right.
It's like...
Well, he was Lightning Man again.
He was Lightning Man.
But my prediction of Thunder Boy did not come out. I was so excited for Thunder Boy.
Well, they had more props this year.
They did. Many, many props. So let's talk about obviously the Lightning experience. Lightning being a core to Salesforce now. Things are now being rebranded Lightning.
Very much. Did you hear any Force.com yesterday?
No, that's
Lightning, baby.
It's Lightning, baby. They talked. So then we were kind of waiting. So we did the Lightning. We did Lightning components. We did Lightning experience. We then went into what I was waiting for was Thunder, right?
Well, you skipped Salesforce Iq in the middle.
Was it in the middle, or I thought it was after Thunder?
It was in the middle.
Oh, right, because there's a second.
So you're yelling at me for not taking notes. You have your notes in front of you.
No, I don't have those notes in front of me.
I'm telling you what happened in the correct order.
Okay, so go for it.
So he switched props.
Yes.
He went to the IQ. and I think this is a really important product. Relate IQ is now Salesforce Iq.
Yes. And
it's a really important product. Can bring some predictive analytics to your inbox, to your calendar. Can mash up I downloaded the app as they were talking about it because I was really excited about
First adopter.
Connected my Gmail account to it, connected my calendar to it, connected Salesforce to it, and all of a sudden I have this new inbox experience on my phone, and it's also available for Gmail in a Chrome plugin.
Yes.
And it brings some really interesting intelligence to an email from a prospect. So an email comes in, you can click a little button that shows Salesforce, and you can see all sorts of information about them from your core CRM data, and then it lets you take action on that. It can remind you to do things, like you can snooze emails.
Right.
It can say, hey, this is, it has snippets, it has this is
text expander
kind of thing. It has some predictive analysis on the text of the email itself, you should do this type of stuff.
And so
I think is really important.
There's two pieces. There's a new app. There's the mobile app.
Yes.
But then there's also the product, right, for small businesses called it's called Salesforce Iq.
Right.
And
I was excited about the
mobile app
because I have Sales Cloud already and it connects to Salesforce.
So that's what I think is the piece that I need to get my head around, is that Salesforce Iq is its own product that is a desktop, app or whatever, a browser-based thing that is included, has CRM in it.
Do you know what's so awesome?
What?
You're here at Dreamforce on the second floor, and they're right there on the third floor, and you can go learn about it.
I did. I saw half a minute of a video.
So awesome.
Yeah, it was so awesome. All right, so then we get to Thunder. Where he brought the hammer. He dropped the hammer. Oh, terrible. And Thunder, I think that was a prediction too, it is the Internet of Things, IoT, or the Internet of Customers.
Internet of Customers, because behind everything
is a customer.
It's such
a good tagline. But both of us kind of looked at each other during the keynote and went, huh?
Huh? Who?
So the idea, I think, is everything's connected. Every device, every
Mark's
thing.
toothbrush, the toothbrush that he carries in his back pocket.
That's right.
Is connected.
By the way, Salesforce Dreamforce memory is back. My favorite one was we walked around pulling the things out of his pants. That sounds terrible.
That was just, you're fired.
I'm fired. Pulling the mobile devices out of it. He pulled out the iPad. He pulled out this. You remember that? That was one of my favorite memories.
He had like 4 devices.
Yes.
And it works on this one.
Yes.
And it works on this one.
And he kept handing them to people.
Here,
He'd be like, here's my phone.
Here's this BlackBerry.
Here's the BlackBerry. So honestly, not a lot of the knowledge of the Internet of Things and what Thunder is, except for an interconnectivity platform that can bring data from Internet of Things into Salesforce to make actionable pieces to it.
Luckily, we have someone with us later
who's laughing at us. He's literally laughing at us.
He's going to help us with this,
He's going to help us.
think.
So maybe.
Hopefully.
We don't want to call him
We're
out.
not going to get him fired.
No, we don't
sure.
get him fired.
Interestingly enough, though, launch partner, Microsoft.
Yes.
Some of my first keynotes, I would go into the keynote and it would be a Microsoft Bash Fest.
So side note, which is, I think, just interesting in the industry, Microsoft has made a massive shift in the last 2 years of being a very open platform.
Yes.
And they're working, at the Apple event a week ago, Microsoft was one of the people who came out on the Apple stage. And the last time he did that, they were booed.
It was amazing.
Right.
It was amazing
so
the things that they're doing.
This isn't like a Salesforce thing. This is like a Microsoft thing.
Yes.
They've changed their tune, and it's working. Like, they're becoming, instead of this closed environment, you must be on SQL Server, you must be on Exchange, you must be, if it's not our apps, it doesn't exist. You're not on our OS. They've changed completely. So
now that Steve Ballmer's running the Clippers...
No, it's great because it kind of shows. I think it'll be. So when my kid goes to college, it'll be a use case in a business course of a shift of a company, a massive change of a huge company. Talk about steering the ship. They always say the bigger the boat, it's harder to steer. Like, this is going to become something. Maybe it won't work. We'll see. But this shift is fascinating. Something I'm actually I pay attention to because I'm fascinated by this company that I've known for way too long.
All right, let's get to the good stuff.
Should we skip over the last hour?
The last hour of the keynote, for me, I should have skipped it.
You should have skipped it.
I should have. I would have been very happy to walk out after the Mark and Parker back and forth, and I would have said, "Great keynote, guys." So then it went on for another hour.
So it went on it did the typical 3 or 4 partners. Last year was 4. This year was 3, or maybe it was 3 this year. And we made jokes about it before. It's the finding the yacht in New Mexico. This year it's the fixing a Cisco router, and it feels infomercial-y. It doesn't, for me, and my come to Jesus on this is, it's not for me. This is not, as a long-term Salesforce admin, blah, 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 all this experience, it's not for me. And you're right, I should leave too. I stay because it's, fun to watch, but it gets campy. They're changing outfits. There's costume changes. There's people coming in on bikes. It's drones last year. This year it's people on Western Union.
I didn't even know Western Union existed.
Exactly.
I looked at you and I said, they're still a company? Can't I just PayPal somebody?
They're the Uber of Uber. Everything's the Uber of something. And I'm like, no.
This podcast is the Uber of podcasts.
They're the Uber of podcasts. It's the Uber of Uber. I'm so sick of that phrase.
Don't get Uberized.
You're Ubering. Stop it. Anyway, so
we're making our guest feel
we should have skipped that. But one other thing. So this is the whole song and dance. The thing that I'm interested in, and I will find out from not the employee who's going to join us next, but the thing that I'm interested in is why didn't they wait to release Lightning Experience, sort of the big bang, till Dreamforce? And why didn't they do it at Dreamforce at that keynote?
There were so many other things.
But they did it with Salesforce One Mobile.
There were so many other things that they couldn't pack it all into this one show. They have been moving at such a pace. It's
lightning
unbelievable.
speed.
Yes.
They're the Uber of lightning.
They are they're the Uber of weather. They have lightning and thunder. Next time it'll be
clouds,
rain.
Their new product, Overcast. It's really good. All right, so it just doesn't make sense to me because I think that having everything come out not only days in advance, which sometimes it does, but weeks in advance didn't feel. It didn't give me that kind of like, I want to go to the dev zone right now and play with Lightning experience. I didn't get that. I've been playing with it for weeks and whatever.
Let me play a little bit of a devil advocate here.
Yeah.
So
are you in grumpy pant mode?
Nope.
All right.
So the winter release is upon us. Winter is coming.
Right.
And
you know nothing, Jon Snow.
I know a little bit more than nothing. Just enough to be dangerous. So Lightning is coming with it.
Yes.
So it kind of needed, it's such a big thing that it needed to be announced before. And secondly, they needed to get partners and ecosystem people onto this and educated and onto the platform so that there were components available immediately inside of the App Exchange.
Totally. But you and I both know that they did that through the partner program. They could have done that on the sly.
They could have, but I think that if they would have just released the winter release notes, and the first
pages,
and the first 150 pages are like the Lightning experience.
No, it's redacted. The whole thing's redacted.
It would not have been a good thing. Right. So they needed. I think they did this correctly.
Right. Well, there you go. All right, so that was the keynote. Let's get away from the keynote. Good stuff. Nothing groundbreaking.
Someone's walking in.
Yes. Hey,
who's
who's that?
in the door?
Oh, I like the sound effects. That was nice.
Nice. You like
Adam
that?
Do you like a gong in the background? That would be very killer.
So I would say of name drops on this podcast for 228 episodes, your name has got to be one of the most dropped names, other than probably Parker and Mark. So,
but I don't actually get to dress up in a cool costume.
No, you could be Thunderboy next year.
There is a cape over there I can get from the awesome admin.
Yes.
Admin Lodge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have that today.
So, welcome Adam Torman from Salesforce.
Good to be here.
From Salesforce.
Long time not listener, first time caller.
He actually admitted he's only listened to one podcast.
Yes, but it was the best. It was
that
permission
was a great
sets,
one,
right?
Of course. Yeah.
That was by far. It was phenomenal. I sent it to all my friends. I sent it to my mom. I sent it to my sister. I sent it everywhere.
So Adam, give us who you are. I mean, we know you. We've known for a long time. But let's start with who are you and why are you here?
I like that. The hero's quest. So the hero's quest begins many moons ago in a city far, far away. Where
No. Start with you. Who are you?
Okay. Who am I? Oh, that's a great question.
Then we'll get to our origin story.
Can I say an enigma?
Sure.
No. Okay, so just for some background, I'm a Salesforce employee. I'm a product manager working in Force.com. I've been with Salesforce for 10 years.
Whoa.
Which is, it's a decade.
Secret society level.
It really is, yes, it's really quite
You
cool.
get to go to that lunch thing.
Hey, what lunch thing?
Yes, the one we can't tell you about on public podcasts.
Right.
That thing.
But you get to find out if you get initiated into the very cool
that's awesome.
decade club.
Do you get a special?
He's got a skeleton key.
Do you get a special badge for that, like a trailhead badge?
It's actually a secret handshake that only those of us in that club know.
That's nice.
Right, that's kind of key.
Okay, so and what area are you in of Salesforce?
So I work in Force.com on the platform.
What's this Force.com thing?
The App Cloud.
Yes.
There it is,
right?
App Cloud.
It is the App Cloud. It was rebranded recently. But even if you look at the App Cloud nomenclature, they talk about Force.com, and that's really where I work. I play with all those great administrative and developer features, like originally permission sets.
Okay, so
and this is really sort of the origin story.
Yeah, so that's the next piece. We have on this podcast, for the people who've listened to every episode, we've done the because we've told this story multiple times because of just who you are and our connection with you, and it's a fun story. But you have never been on the podcast to tell the story, so please tell us your origin story with us and how that all works into why we're here today.
All right, so before we even launched permission sets, we did a session here at Dreamforce, and I was looking for an intrepid explorer to help get on stage and tell the story with me.
Mm-hmm.
So Justin Edelston here was nice enough to volunteer a phenomenal set of stories. But what was interesting was I demoed this idea of how you assign permission sets using a Visualforce page at that presentation. And right afterwards, all these people lined up, and they were all asking questions. How does this work? Is this multiple profiles? And Justin kind of nudges me along and says, I want to build that thing. And a year later, we had the Permissioner.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wait, what's that robot's name?
The Permissioner?
Cletus? No.
Cletus.
No, Cletus is the Fox one.
That's what it's branded.
Okay, so it looks like that. But The permissioner was phenomenal. It was something every customer I talked about.
Present tense. It is phenomenal.
Sorry. It is phenomenal because every customer that asked me, how do I assign these things? I'd say, go download this great free app from Arkus. Right. And people loved it. And then
use the present tense. People love it.
People love it. So, and then about a year later, I had this great sit down with both Justin and Jason, and they said, okay, well, what other needs do we see out there? What kinds of things can we build? What kinds of things can we look at helping admins with? And we started talking about Dolly the sheep.
Yep.
Right? Clone this user. And this was just at the launch of S1, right? And you all were kind of biting to build a mobile application. And this was something I was hearing all the time. What happens when an admin's at Burger King getting a Whopper, large fry, Diet Coke, gets an emergency email, quick, I must have this user. Well, you're not going to drop that Whopper. You need to clone this user. The shortest path to creating a user, and it still is. Still the best app out there for building users.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's awesome.
Still is. So present tense.
Present tense.
Still the best app.
It will always be.
So
future tense.
So you are either, I feel like we have to say you're like the grandfather because I feel like we're more parents. He's more the grandfather.
Of what?
He's like of those two because
I
both
just feel
products
so old all of a sudden.
Both products came from you, but not only are they kind of like your ideas, they were things that you developed on the platform at Salesforce and made available via API, and then said basically there's no front end because hashtag API first. So you said, okay, it'd be great if some partner, hint hint, would go build something that was made an API and showed why API first and why developer or partners can easily take what we build and turn it into free, easy apps.
Right. I mean, the hero story wasn't me. The hero story was Arkus. The hero story was you all coming up with an app that immediately added value to customers, all built on this great API strategy.
Right. Well, I think that's my favorite part of the story. But I think we went back further than that.
Well, we met Adam when we worked at that company that we don't name.
Right.
Is that like Voldemort?
Yeah.
Yes. Because there's a couple things we don't name on the podcast.
We don't name that company.
We don't name the company. We don't name the other partner. Never name his name. You say it 3 times.
Why do you not name?
Because it's just a joke.
Because he asks you. He always comes back and says, "Did you talk about me on the 220?"
You know what? He would know if he listened.
Yeah, he'd know if you listened. That's why we don't name him.
We don't name him because he doesn't listen.
So you should just tell him at some point in the future, Operant Learning, we are going to actually name him so that he listens to every single podcast, just so he can be present when you actually name him.
You do not know him.
I don't think he cares.
He does not care.
Maybe if we started doing like a self-help or like a healthy thing, he would listen.
Anyway. It started because we all were blogging, and so I'd say I wrote the blog, and then Justin wrote the blog, and then we started saying, and the partner should not be named. He wrote this one. And so then we recently just changed because we have employees, everybody blogs. So now we tell, this person, Roger Mitchell wrote the blog this week, and we still leave him and not name his. We still say, and the partner should not be named, wrote his blog post. But you obviously can figure out who it is because you can go to the website and figure it out. But it's now just a running joke.
Very nice rat hole.
Yes.
Let me bring us back.
Yes.
So we met at this company long ago.
Yes. You had some challenges.
We had some
challenges. To know how you were going to fix the multiple profile problem.
Yes. We had a profile.
I just like saying that. Profile proliferation
problem.
I think I just contributed spit to this microphone.
That's cool.
Throw me a year out.
I'm going to go with 2009, maybe 2008.
I'm going to say 2008 in the fall.
Okay. Good enough. Very close. That? I think you're probably right. Yeah, so we had an org. We had an org with lots of people. I think it was upwards of 3,000 at its peak.
Yep.
And it had 8 or 10 different apps in it. And we had
different business units.
Different business units, and we had profiles that were people's names. We had Kevin's profile. That's my favorite.
Not even the last name, just
Kevin's profile, whatever. Because it was like we'd have like app name / app name / app name profile.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's like a German word. It's they compound it.
Yeah, and then you'd have, this person needs half of this app, but only can't edit but can read or whatever, and you'd end up with just tons of profiles. And I remember, had a phone conversation a couple of different times about this problem.
I think you even came out at one point, and we had a meeting out here in California.
Yes.
Where you talked about this.
That was before. No, not him. He wasn't.
Not me.
He wasn't important enough at the company that shall
I was an ant at that company.
You're always being ant to me. How's that?
I'd rather be your uncle.
Oh. So yes, we came out for, I don't know what, I think you call them EBCs now.
Yep,
Yes.
that's
but
it.
back then, I don't even think they were called EBCs. It was customer's going to complain a lot, and you guys are going to come in hour after hour, one at a time, the product guys, and you guys are going to kind of show them some stuff and then hear them complain for half an hour.
We were the kickstands.
And then run out the door.
Right. Except for in this case, I was too young and naive to truly go running. Instead, I actually listened to what you had to say.
And said, we'll build it 6 years later.
Well, no.
To be fair, it was about a year later.
No.
It was...
Permission sets came out a year later?
Permission sets came out in release
I want to
172.
I want to go 11.
Probably
Early
about
11.
then.
Okay.
Maybe.
You just said
Maybe
7 to
2010.
11.
No, we didn't say 7.
You said 9. 9 to 11.
No,
Okay.
because this conversation happened like over years. Because
Yes.
I remember we met when I was brand new as a product manager, and then about a year later, and then about a year after that, we had permission sets.
Okay.
And then we had our API.
Right, and then we had our idea.
So that's your origin story, our origin story with you. Again, we thank you just publicly and on a podcast that 2 or 3 people will actually download and one person might listen.
That'll be like my sister.
Yeah, somebody.
Probably somewhere actually out there.
So, but now, what are you doing now? What's your day-to-day? What's your responsibility? What's your thing that you're talking to people here at Dreamforce about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm still working with developers and admins, but now in a slightly different area with a product we just launched back in November called Event Monitoring.
Nice. Tell us.
And Event Monitoring really solves that problem of who stole the cookie from the cookie jar.
Right?
I mean, like, that's the easiest way to say it.
Was that a problem?
So it is when that cookie happens to be your entire customer list, and when that person who stole it took that entire customer list to your competitors, and now they have an unfair advantage because, well, they just walked with all of your intellectual property, your customers, information that they shouldn't have, and you're stuck with no legal recourse. So what if you had the ability to actually track down exactly what someone saw, what they clicked on? What if you actually had the ability to track the adoption within an organization of who's using that Visualforce page you built or who is using the permissioner?
So when you say the event monitor, you're talking about monitoring the event of users within the system. Clicks, running reports, logging as administrative things, and also sort of end user clicking things.
Exactly. The billions of events
as he holds
that
up
happen.
Yeah, okay.
My pinky, yes.
So it's one of those things that, I mean, just as a side note, I know that Salesforce has access to some of what customers do within their org. They can run reports and things and see usage and adoption and things like that.
Yep.
But one of the things I think is in the literature, it's been a while since I read through it, but is that Salesforce cannot see what people do within the org, meaning they can't see the data. Right? Like, so you can't.
So
right?
the customer's data is sacrosanct. And
Right.
we don't actually store customer data in our logs, right? That would be horrible, terrible, no good, very bad.
That'd be no good.
But what we do store is the metadata. What we store is what you did in and around that event.
Right.
Right? Did you click on this page? Right? Did you see this record, but did you see the record ID, not the record name,
Right.
or any details about the record? Right? Who the user was. Again, not their name, but their ID.
Their user ID.
Right? But this becomes incredibly powerful because it allows us to figure out patterns for login. So for instance, I can tell you whether or not Jason is logging in on the weekend or whether or not Justin's logging in from St. Thomas. Well, yeah, besides the fact he sends you emails and chatter posts that are timestamped.
I can tell you he is logging in on the weekend.
He is. He's definitely logging in on the weekend. So what are the things? So give me like 5 or 10 things that you'd be excited or we'd be excited about sort of monitoring, like what type of events?
Right. So Arkus, you focus on financial services, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And nonprofits.
And nonprofits, right? Which, in one sense, that's public sector, right? They're answerable to the government, NGOs potentially. The other sense, they're financial services, and they're answerable to a whole bunch of regulatory compliance requirements.
Right.
So we built this whole bundle of compliance features that we launched last summer called Shield.
Yes.
And event monitoring is one of those components within the Salesforce Shield bundle that is meant to address financial services, healthcare, life sciences, public sector, regulatory compliance needs.
Okay.
Right? So if you think about the CRUD model.
Yep.
Right? Create, read, update, delete.
Very good.
So event monitoring is the read. Who actually accessed the data? Field audit trail is the CUD, not what the cow eats, but the create, update, delete. And then encryption, the third pillar of Shield, allows you to encrypt the data at rest with 256-bit encryption. Put that together as a package, and all of a sudden you have a compliance story that helps when talking about people, process, and technology. It's really the technology piece.
So how do we get to this data?
Great question.
There's only one way to get to the data.
How do we
what's
use
my mantra?
Use this data?
What's my favorite thing? How I build features.
We know that you build things API first, Adam Torman.
Love API first. API first creates amazing things, right? You created the permissioner because of API first. You created clone this user because of API first. Now, I can't wait until you create some new application, the monitor.
The monitor.
Right? Can have like a little bowl from like Crete.
Wait, you're taking all of our stuff. This is like, now you've gone too far. Why don't you just write it and give it to us and we'll put it on the App Exchange? Done.
Easy
I can
peasy,
see it's a monitor. Done.
Here, just go to my blog, salesforcehacker.com. The code is there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we built it through the API, but interestingly enough, we didn't build it through the API just because I like API. We built it because we talked to a whole bunch of customers who said, I've got multiple organizations, I have SIM systems like HP ArcSight or Logarithm. How in the world am I going to get those billions of events into something that I can actually visualize, make sense, distribute, democratize the data? And the only way you can do that is not by building a dashboard and setup. That's not going to happen, right? People always ask me, can I put event monitoring data into operational reports? The answer is, well, you could, but why? Because you can only see 2,000 records on the screen. We're talking about billions of rows.
So are we talking Wave here?
So we do actually have a pilot program with a Wave integration. It pulls down the last 7 days worth of event monitoring data. Because Wave is the only UI which really has that robust row capacity for visualizing massive amounts of data. But more importantly, I had a great use case the other day. Someone said, I need to give my legal department access to find out who downloaded data. Well, Wave is perfect for that because it's an exploratory tool. It's button click. So all we have to do is get the data into Wave, give them some pre-canned reports, and let them explore to their heart's content. Because ultimately, it's not just what data did someone walk away with. It's what else did they do besides walk away with the data.
Silence.
Wow. Mic
You
drop.
like that?
Mic drop.
Boom.
So
Wait, I don't have a hammer. No,
so-
there's no props.
So yeah, no props. Give me some stats around. Give me some stats around the product itself. Event monitoring. It's like how much? So how far can I go back?
So we keep. You can tell I've been talking a lot. I'm actually going for the Mike Gerholt voice drop, which I expect by tomorrow I will have.
Where's your red shirt? By
Either
the
that
way,
or
when
go through
did Mike
puberty again.
get to drop the red shirt? Like that's not even right.
It's not blue. Yeah. But he still has the voice. He's got
He
that
does.
really awesome creamy
I think
voice.
that's a branding police thing.
Did you say awesome creepy voice?
No. It's like silk. It's very smooth.
He's
Right.
walking right around the corner. So let's stop talking about him.
All right.
So event monitoring, we keep the data on the platform 30 days,
Okay.
but only because we figure you will build an automation that will pull it into Wave or Splunk or New Relic. And so if that automation breaks, it's still there for 30 days.
So it's a 30-day set of logs, and it's
Yes.
things like again. Give me some. This is the thing. So it's running reports.
So reports, dashboards, Visualforce access, Apex triggers, and execution, bulk, REST, SOAP, metadata APIs, URIs, Lightning. So if you want to know how Lightning is actually doing in your organization, event monitoring has it.
There's a report for that. There's
There
a
is.
log file for that.
In fact, really, if you go to trust.salesforce.com and pull up the performance page,
Yeah.
that data is coming from the logs. Why not have my trust? Why not have the ability to see what your total transaction count is across your actual users who didn't just log in, but did something in the organization?
So it's not just run report or ran report. It's ran report, exported
Are we
report.
back to the tense thing? Run, ran.
Well, whatever. It's
Ran?
not just...
Justin's very tired. Don't.
I'm so exhausted. I told you when
I
we
can't
started the
poke the bear.
podcast that I finally got 5 hours of sleep last night. It's not just that I've run the report. It's I've downloaded the report, or I've exported the report.
Or you previewed the chatter file, or you downloaded the M&A deck, or you used the API to extract out 50,000 records.
So what's missing?
Oh, okay. So
that's the real question.
What do customers come? Because I'm a product manager, and this is. I wish I had my Safe Harbor T-shirt on.
Where's your tattoo?
Cool, right?
Where's your tat?
Oh, actually, I don't have the tag this year. I should have that for this.
How'd
For
you
this
get rid-
purpose.
how'd you
Is
get
that
rid of the
horrible?
tag?
I don't have the tattoo.
What, did you
this
get
year.
it lasered off?
Yeah, I did. There were too many clause changes, and it just got to be too painful.
Oh, okay.
Side story: saw the safe harbor in the trailhead. Do you see the trailhead safe harbor? It's like in a big trailhead thing with grass.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was really good.
I like that. There's actually a haiku floating around of something a little bit more readable with the safe harbor. But okay, so what do I hear? The number one thing I hear is it needs to be more real time than 24 hours. Right? We built it for historic forensic use cases.
I'm going to dumb it down a little for Justin. So if someone does something now, I can get it in the log 24 hours later.
Correct.
Is it 24 hours from the time of the thing, or is 24 hours?
It is. It could be less than 24 hours. It could be more than 24 hours because
okay.
It's
the
snapshots
process
once a day.
Here's the thing you have to remember: these logs are the same logs we use to support our customers, but they're not multi-tenant by nature. They're massive multi-terabyte files that sit on a log hub server that in the middle of the night we run a job against from the previous day.
Right.
And it's not as simple as just saying, oh, wow, Arkus's data is in this one file. Because actuality, you can have many files per app server, many app servers per pod. You don't necessarily know about all this magical stuff that's going on in the cloud, but that's the reality of the technology.
We don't want to know
That's
about
why
that.
you. That's why we have you, so we don't have to worry about this crap.
So I wait until all the logs are in a place where I can go get them, which is about 3 a.m. in the morning.
And I physically go get them at 3 a.m. in the morning?
They're shipped from the log hub into a Hadoop server we call Gridforce. Gridforce map reduces over them and takes non-multi-tenant data and turns it into multi-tenant data so that you only see your log data, we only see our log data.
Nice.
And so that process currently is a 24-hour delay. And that's something that we are looking to get down to something that is smaller.
So I want to get to the 24 hours.
That is the number one most important thing that I need to work on this year.
So it's 3 a.m.
Yes.
is when you get it, but that's from the files that stopped at midnight?
Correct.
So then you start processing.
Yes.
So then it's between whenever you get them and you finish processing is the 24 hours.
So let's say you log in
Yes.
at 11:59
Yes.
and 59 seconds.
Well, okay, you didn't have to get that specific, but okay.
That one's in.
Right? That one's in. So
It's in
6
the log.
a.m. in the morning, you go and you download these logs because that's when you write your script to run it. Then that's technically 6 hours ago.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. So
Right,
so it doesn't take you 24 hours to process them. It takes.
Correct.
It's just that you're telling everybody, hey, within 24 hours.
I'm giving
you'll have
people a magic number of 24 because it's
Why
easy
not?
to understand.
Right. It's not that.
Right.
It's really available
Yeah.
most time. It's the previous day's
Yeah.
log at 6 a.m. when we're done.
The
when we're
most
done.
important thing really is it's historic forensic use cases.
Right.
Right? If I'm an auditor for the government, then I don't necessarily need to know that something's happening in real time. I need to have evidence that something happened in the past. And that's what this case enables. In the past, customers would have to call up Salesforce, file a ticket, pay money on a per user per week basis, and we would do a dump of the logs for that particular user for that particular org. And it was a painful process. It could take 2 weeks. So we took it from 2 weeks to 24 hours.
So Segui, nice Segui. That's the segue.
Segui? I thought that was like a new motor
Wait,
scooter.
wait. I don't want to segue anywhere yet.
No, I want to into a little bit more about the product.
Well,
Ah.
I want to continue down the path of
Keep sleeping.
Come on. What else is I want to know what else is missing. It seems like there's a
That's
lot of
not nice.
stuff in. Well, I
Ah.
think it's important to
I
be
do too.
transparent.
I agree.
About it.
I agree. So beyond being near real time, we did this API first, but API first doesn't mean it's API only. So the second big thing people ask me about is when will this be in Wave integrated so I don't have to roll my own automation scripts
Right.
or roll my own default dashboards. So that's something that we're working on that currently Safe Harbor
Nice job.
is scheduled for the February release, which is spring 16.
Spring 16. Okay.
So the goal is to bundle it. That way, if you don't already have a SIM system or Tableau or BI system,
I have tableaus. Tons of tableaus.
Then Wave becomes your default option.
Awesome. So,
Makes sense.
can I get in a little bit
Yeah,
more
go ahead.
on the product?
Segui away.
I'm segueing. So,
I'm on tippy toes.
give me some. So, here's what I'm saying to you. I like it. Sounds awesome. I wants it. Tell me how I gets it.
All right, great question. So, we are the world's most trusted public platform.
Wow.
So when it starts like
You like
Wait.
that,
So I want to start the story a little bit back, right?
Okay.
On our platform, we've got these wonderful features like login history, set up our trail, right? We just enabled in the API. No one knows about this. It drives me crazy. Every time someone says, I want to know about escalation of privileges, but I don't want to download a CSV manually. You don't have to anymore. Windows 16, we give you that ability. But that's built part and parcel with the very first license that you buy on the platform.
Okay.
However, Shield is not. Shield is not bundled because we saw this as truly enhanced set of security and compliance features that were really designed for niche industries, financial services, HLS, public sector.
People who will pay.
Well, and not only people who will pay, which really isn't the point,
I'm not going to let you off easy.
but
Yes.
the added cost to us.
Okay, yes.
Because when we talk about these events, we really are not talking about trivial capacity. We're talking about having to actually set up new systems like Hadoop, HBase, Phoenix, all open source projects.
Right.
But the commoditized hardware doesn't necessarily come
Right.
as cheap as you might think when you include disaster recovery and everything
And
else. With encryption, we have hardware security modules, right? There were fundamental shifts in our technology to enable these cases. So it's not as much about, well, can these people pay us more money?
Right.
Right? It's
It's
more a
cost you
matter
more
of,
money.
can I turn this on for people who actually will value it? Because if I turn it on for everyone, I have the challenges that I have today with tables and Oracle that we have to manage in a way that can't really be managed
First of all,
easily.
first time Oracle has ever been said on this podcast.
Oh,
But thanks,
really?
Thanks
that's
for,
not
You like
true.
that?
That's not true.
So no, but that's a good case, and I can tell you've been talking to lots of people about it because that's a very good way of putting it, and I could see that the
In
amount
the
of
world's
customers.
most trusted
Well,
platform.
if you built it and made it for everybody, the percentage of people who would actually use it is very limited.
Right.
So okay, so it has a cost.
Yes.
And is it part of a Shield bundle?
It is. So each of the Shield items, event monitoring, field audit trail, and encryption, all are sold separately or bundled together for basically a cheaper option where you really need the full package.
Right. And it's priced based on your ACV.
Correct. It's
And you don't need to give me a number.
on-
That's what it's not a per user per month or whatever.
Right.
It's a
It's a
ACV.
percentage of user license.
So ACV is your annual contract value. Meaning, if you have, do quick math, but if you're paying $50,000 a year for your licenses, then it would
Yep.
be a percentage of that, somewhere probably between
Yep.
5 and 15 is my guess. I'm not gonna throw you under the bus. Okay, so that's cool. Thank you.
Yes. But here's a fun fact that
Unless
most
it's
people
more.
don't know. Hold on.
Fun fact. Hey, what additions are supported with this? I assume Enterprise and up.
It's available anywhere the API is available, which is Enterprise Edition, Unlimited Edition, Performance Edition.
Got it.
Developer
How
Edition,
about-
this is
how
kind of
about the-
interesting.
How about just the platform editions?
If API is there, then yes, we can bundle it. One interesting thing to note, though, and this is something that no one has actually picked up on, is Developer Edition has, for event monitoring, all 29 files getting generated every single day.
Wow.
And that's powerful because if I'm a developer building on a Developer Edition for building an app like the Permissioner, or because I'm just trying to learn about the platform,
What do we call it? The monitorer?
I like the
The monitor.
The monitor.
Monitor.
How about the Minotaur?
Then, again, you have Dolly the sheep and you have horns.
Yep, we
So
got
It's
Done.
coming to a pin near you.
Consider it done.
Coming to a pin near you.
DF16.
So here's the crazy thing. We have 2 million Force.com developers based on 2 million Developer Edition orgs, and all of them want to know about Apex executions and Visualforce page, view state, and API request and users, and all of that everyone has turned on in their orgs today. We hold it for one day, so as a developer, you actually can be enabled with this tool for free because it's just simply built into the platform. We did that because we wanted to encourage ISVs to build applications, so we wanted to make sure there was that option.
Very cool. Very cool.
So not many people know about that. Set up audit trail, part of the Monitor or Minotaur.
Minotaur.
You have to actually say the last part low. You need Mike Gerholt, though,
to
be a spokesperson for that one. The Minotaur.
He'll do a drop for us.
Okay. You could do it. Yeah, you could do a drop for us. Excellent. That's all I have. I'm excited. I actually wanted to. I mean, the Shield now means something to me because I was reading about it. I knew the individual pieces. You know, I've been playing with them, but I hadn't gotten deep into it. And you gave it excellent.
Well, I'm glad you're done because I'm just starting.
Oh my God!
I'm just messing around. Well, what gets you excited when you're here at Dreamforce? Like, what is exciting for you today?
You know, actually, beyond this podcast, of course, this is the highlight of my Dreamforce. No, actually, it was the thing that happened immediately before this podcast. So while Jason and I were waiting to come up on stage and do this, I got to meet this fantastic admin. Her name's Deborah. And we were just talking about some of the challenges she had. And that spontaneous connection, that I can't get anywhere but Dreamforce. That ability to actually have a sit down next to someone at lunch and talk to them about what they're going through. Good, bad, ugly, I don't care, because for me, as a product manager, I just want to build stuff that people use. If you don't use it, then what's the point? So for me, it's those spontaneous conversations that I can't wait for Salesforce. So I try where I have a crazy schedule with EBCs and presentations, but I always try to set aside some time to just randomly meet people in different areas, whether it's on the grass playing chess or out here in the admin lodge, because to me, that's the best part, hands down.
Well, I imagine right after this, someone's going to walk over to you and ask you.
So you're going to get another one of those awesome moments in about 4 minutes. How can people find you, follow you, know what you do?
Love it. So the single best place is my blog, which is called salesforcehacker.com, which is kind of interesting because you wouldn't believe I actually have over 350,000 page views since I started it last February.
Wow.
And do you know where the vast majority of those come from?
Salesforce.com employees.
No, Romania.
Oh.
No, really. They see Salesforce Hacker and they think, I can hack Salesforce if I read this blog. They come to my blog and they learn how to assign permission sets and build the Minotaur. No, it's really kind of fascinating to see the hit rate from Eastern
awesome.
Europe and from parts of Asia. The Salesforce Hacker blog is really the place where I went to because I was having all these great customer conversations, but I would have the same conversation over and over with different customers. I realized that was just getting lost to the ether. So I created this blog to post best practices, tips, tricks that admins, developers would want to know about so that it's there, it's accessible. There's a record of it. So if you go to that site, it's a great place to go to get information about how to build the Minotaur.
And where can we tweet you?
You can tweet me at A Torman.
Nice. It's a good follow.
Spelled as it sounds.
A T as in Thomas, O-R-M-A-N.
And where can we come to your house for dinner? No, sorry, just kidding. All right. So I think we'll wrap it up. That might be the penultimate CloudFocus Weekly
the highlight of my Dreamforce.
Penultimate, not the ultimate.
It's the penultimate.
You know what?
The penultimate.
He's definitely in the top 3 guests we've ever had on the show.
Because we've had
along with the partner who has not been
all of
named.
3 guests.
We've had you are in the top 3.
Okay,
that's
awesome.
Top 3 of all guests ever.
Great.
It's true.
On the
I get the bronze.
On the awesome level today, we're at extreme.
We're not at Cray Cray.
We tried.
We tried, but the needle actually went off the chart.
Is too cray. It broke.
Too cray. That's terrible. All right. Well, thank you very much, Adam, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
I will listen more to these sessions.
I know you will.
Podcasts.
If you just started the sessions,
I will at least tell my sister, my wife, my daughter. They'll all know about it.
They'll be and we appreciate it. We really appreciate you stopping by, and also being just a buddy and a guy who we whenever we're out here we seek you out. We seek you out because it's a fun conversation and always learn new stuff. And you are sort of the father of all the free products that we make.
We speak your name.
I like that. I create the clones.
And you arrive. All right, we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you.
I promise that we do a CloudFocus app pick of the week. I lied because I'm letting Justin off the hook.
Woo!
Yeah. So we're not going to do one this week. We'll do one next week. We'll wrap up. But as always, Justin, I guess, and Adam, Jason saying... Enjoy those patty days.